welcome to this special show, IT's Next Wave, coming to you from the NASSCOM Leadership Summit in Mumbai. Over the next 30 minutes, we will take a closer look at the drivers of the next decade and get views from the top guns of the IT industry on the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. By the recent few quarters, the Indian IT industry is seeing good recovery in demand and posting strong growth. But is the industry out of the woods yet, or will the macroeconomic uncertainty play spoil sport?
See, the macroeconomic conditions continue to be volatile and dynamic, be it Europe or Middle East, etc. But from the industry point of view, the conditions are good. We continue to see a lot of opportunities. The momentum is there. We are seeing a much more clearer visibility in terms of what's coming this year compared to the same time last year. The client budgets are up. So I think 2011 will be good for the IT industry.
Okay. Also, in terms of what clients are telling you in terms of given the current sentiment in the macroeconomic environment, is there any shift in the client thinking in terms of spending or the budgets?
I think the client budgets for 2011 has been drawn up, taking into account the macro situation. So given that, I think I don't see an impact in near term to any of the client spends and the outlook for the IT industry due to the macro situation.
But are we looking at budgets with a positive bias?
Yeah, budgets are up. They are with a positive bias, and there is increase in the discretionary spending compared to last year. So I think the IT industry will overall do well.
Given the innovation in the business models and post-recession, how companies are looking at reinventing their business models, has TCS gone through something like that? Are we looking at a different business model post the slowdown era?
See, the business model will continue to evolve. More and more outcome-based pricing models will emerge, and our process cloud solutions are more transaction-based and outcome-based. So these kind of business models will continue to evolve, and it will take a long time to achieve scale, but the business models will continue to evolve.
See, clearly there are four different challenges: higher unemployment, the sovereign debt crisis, what is happening in the Middle East, and then finally, inflation, volatility, and things like that. So I see all of these things are, having an impact. Now, if let us say one of these things worsens, it can have actually impact on the global economy, which means that growth will come down.
Wipro Chairman Azim Premji also fueled the optimism at the summit with his speech focusing on India's role in the new economic order. Premji says the global markets see Chinese businesses as a threat, and that augurs well for Indian companies.
Huge aggression of China for global domination is and this is the feedback I get fairly consistently from European executives and from American executives, but more so from American chief executives, have made large multinational chief executives of large corporations come to a point where they feel a bit threatened by China. And they now seek more geographical risk distribution than they would have ever have done in the past, much to the advantage of India. Irrespective of the problems we create for ourselves, and irrespective of the shambles of governance which we have in our country, both in business leadership as well as in government leadership, we still continue to attract FII flows, and we will continue to attract FDI flows going forward.
After a disappointing single-digit growth in the last fiscal, NASSCOM expects to close the current fiscal at a healthy 18.7% growth in export revenues. This growth is expected to stay between 16 to 18% even for the next fiscal. But there were some companies like Mahindra Satyam who sounded more pessimistic in their outlook.
I have the opinion those large big bang deals, at least I'm not seeing them, but I'm seeing a lot of small to medium kind of deals happening in the IT sector. Clear that the IT budgets are coming down, and that is the opportunity for India Incorporated. I mean, clearly the spending in dollar to dollar over the previous year, it is coming down. What I feel is it's not really an FTE pricing which is under pressure. It's a business model which is changing. The business model change is, as I said, now it is result-driven, transaction-driven, or an outcome-driven. And my theory is if the client is not talking to you about result and outcome-based pricing, then you better be worried.
According to NASSCOM, IT export revenues is expected to grow threefold to touch $175 billion by 2020. And most of this incremental growth will come from outside core markets, verticals and customer segments. The India part of the revenues will grow fourfold to $50 billion. For also newsmakers who made an appearance at the NASSCOM Leadership Summit, Ashok Soota, who recently shocked the markets with his exit from Mindtree.
Frankly, it's not an abrupt move. I had mentioned already that it was something I had been considering for some time, and also that it is for personal reasons. And there's nothing really abrupt when you look at it organizationally, after the organization plans for succession. And we've had succession lined up. We've had KK, for example, working as CEO and MD now for quite a while. So I'd say we've got a smooth transition. I've given enough notice also. And I'm, of course, helping with whatever is needed to be done in the in-between period, right up till 31st March that I'm there.
Okay. There are concerns in the market about the future of Mindtree given the problem in the handset business. Take us through, are you worried about that, and did that also factor into your exit?
No, I mentioned earlier that my reasons were purely personal reasons, nothing to do with business, and there's absolutely no reason to be concerned. Because I've actually been a big believer in the future of mid-sized companies. Mindtree is the best example of a successful mid-sized company. If you look at the returns we've provided to stakeholders, to our people, they're incredible over a period of 10 years. And that's the time spans that you should look at, long-term time spans, not quarterly, things through which we have not been, we don't want to be buffeted by short-term considerations.
So now what next for Mr. Soota?
I've said that as and when I become clear, I don't want to even really think about it, to tell you the truth, till I'm out of Mindtree. And that is going to be sometime in April. I'll finalize my plans and then I'll announce them.
Also, T.K. Kurian, who's recently taken over as CEO of Markets. Also presenting his views at the summit was former TCS chief S. Ramadurai, who has recently been appointed as the advisor to the Prime Minister on skill development.
I think this is one of those most important national missions in terms of skill development and what kind of digitization, automation and technology interventions can be made. Connecting the various initiatives of the government to a common framework and ensuring we scale up to the potential in 2022 in terms of demand versus the supply, that's the opportunity which is the most exciting part of it. It's a huge challenge, but more importantly, it has to be done. And the fact that the Prime Minister has requested me to take care of this is itself the most exciting part of it.
With strong demand flowing in, every IT company is ramping up their headcount aggressively. But companies are not too concerned about the demand-supply gap, but are really concerned about the shortage of employable talent. NASSCOM predicts fresh hiring in the Indian IT and BPO industry to touch 2.4 lakh in this fiscal and another 2 lakh in the next fiscal. Analysts say companies will aggressively push for campus hiring to contain costs. Companies expect the IT job market to remain buoyant in the long term.
Overall industry is very buoyant about hiring plans. And I think this will also make the industry look at global expansion and not just in the context of India. So hiring is certainly going to be strong, but at the same time, I expect all the players to think about global footprint.
According to industry estimates, the top 5 Indian IT companies will hire between 1.6 and 1.8 lakh people in the current fiscal. Such large-scale hiring was last seen in 2007, when 4 lakh new IT jobs were created. This dropped to 1.5 lakh in 2009 and to just 1 lakh in 2010. But companies say the employability gap continues to remain a major problem for companies as they have to invest more in training.
Like we always say, we don't have an employment problem, we have an employability problem, right? So the employability problem is the industry and the educational institution, the formal education institution, are in many ways islands. The training industry provides the bridge between those two.
Another emerging trend is the increased hiring of non-IT candidates. NASSCOM says the number of hires from non-technical backgrounds has gone up from 2 to 3% in 2005 to 12% in 2010. But amidst all the buoyancy, the IT industry will be wary of high attrition and rising wage inflation and its impact on profitability.
Clearly, jobs are back with a bang in the IT industry. Coming up after the break, we will shift our focus to the road ahead for the BPO industry and also take a closer look at the top technology trends for 2011. Welcome back to the special show, IT's Next Wave, from the NASSCOM Leadership Summit in Mumbai. Now, the BPO industry has lagged behind the growth of the IT services industry, but industry players are not too concerned. They believe that the global BPO delivery model will be strengthened further as clients are demanding more nearshore centers.
Despite the protectionism rhetoric heating up and increasing competition from other low-cost countries, analysts see no threat to India's dominance in the BPO market. According to consultancy firm A.T. Kearney's 2011 Global Services Location Index, India ranks as the favorite BPO destination ahead of China and Malaysia. BPO companies expect this trend to continue with India's availability of manpower to service any kind of offshoring work.
Shifting our focus to the top technology trends for 2011, cloud computing and social networking took center stage in all the discussions between industry leaders. They see huge potential for Indian companies to leverage these technologies going forward.
With clients looking for cost-effective technologies in the post-slowdown era, companies are increasing their pitch for less capital-intensive technologies like virtualization and cloud computing. Industry estimates the cloud market in India to touch $1 billion by 2015 from $110 million in 2010. Around 5 to 6 lakh more jobs are likely to be created for cloud computing in the next 5 years. But analysts say more needs to be done by Indian IT companies.
Let me give you an example. If you take the three top three of the top cloud firms in the United States, take Google, take Microsoft, take Amazon, all three making big moves in cloud. If you look at their total investment just last year, they put in excess of $7 billion into cloud infrastructure last year. $7 billion. There's no comparable investment that I can see coming out of the Indian providers into cloud. If those investments pay off, that's going to be a game changer. So that's, I think, what the Indian firms are up against, that kind of investment going into the infrastructure. And I think, that could be very much a game changer.
In another 3 years, it's expected to be 135 billion or thereabouts. So it's a huge market where India can play a role, either as a owner of the assets for cloud and provider of services, or even applying the cloud to some of the sectors I spoke about. It could be healthcare, because a lot of hospitals have disparate systems.
The other major technology wave anticipated is the use of social media platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter over a company's own website.